Sometimes, the words we never say echo louder than the ones we do. My grandmother, Aurora, was always an open book. Her blue eyes sparkled like a summer sky on a cloudless day, and her hugs could heal any pain with a single, gentle squeeze. I grew up feeling seen and loved in her presence, like I was the only person in the world when we were together. She had this warmth, this joy that seemed to radiate from her very being, touching everyone around her. But life has a way of surprising us, doesn't it? It was on a crisp autumn day, after we had laid her to rest, that I stumbled upon something that would change everything I thought I knew about my grandmother, about our family, and perhaps even about myself. I was sorting through her belongings, memories swirling around me like leaves caught in a whirlwind. The house, once filled with her laughter and the scent of freshly baked cookies, now felt empty, a hollow shell of what it once was. I wandered from room to room, running my fingers over the familiar surfaces, trying to hold on to the essence of her presence. It was then that I noticed an old wooden box tucked away in a corner of her attic. The box itself was unassuming, its wood worn smooth by years of dust and neglect. I picked it up, feeling its weight, wondering what could be inside. The lid creaked as I opened it, releasing a whisper of forgotten memories into the air. Inside, nestled among yellowed letters and faded photographs, was a small, leather-bound diary. Its cover was worn, the leather soft to the touch, like the pages of a well-loved book. I gently opened it, and a piece of paper slipped out, carrying with it the faint scent of lavender. The pages within were yellowed, filled with handwriting that danced across the page in elegant, looping script. As I began to read, my heart swelled with a mix of emotions. These weren't just any letters, they were unsent. Letters to someone, written decades ago, filled with longing, love, and loss. My grandmother's voice, in those words, spoke of dreams unfulfilled, of choices made and not made, of a love that endured despite the passage of time and the turmoil of the world around them. The more I read, the more I realized that my grandmother's life was not as straightforward as I had imagined. There were layers, depths to her story that I had never suspected. It was both exhilarating and terrifying to think about all the secrets she had kept hidden for so long. As I delved deeper into the letters, the world around me began to fade, and I found myself transported to a different era, one of hope and heartache, of love and loss. I began to see my grandmother, not just as the wise, loving figure I had known, but as a young woman, full of dreams and uncertainties, navigating the complexities of love and life during a time of great change and upheaval. The story that unfolds from these letters is one of extraordinary love, of sacrifices made, of paths not taken, and of a legacy that spans generations. It's a tale of how the choices we make, and the words we choose not to say, shape not just our own lives but those of our children, grandchildren, and beyond. In the weeks that followed, as I read through each letter, I began to see my family, our history, in a new light. The laughter, the tears, the struggles, and the triumphs, everything seemed to take on a deeper meaning. And now, as I sit here, reflecting on the journey that these letters have taken me on, I realize that I'm not just uncovering the secrets of my grandmother's past, I'm also discovering the power of love, of words unspoken, and the indelible mark they leave on our lives. The story you're about to hear is more than just a tale of a family, it's a testament to the enduring power of love, a reminder that even in silence, there is a voice that echoes through time, touching hearts and changing lives in ways we can hardly imagine. So, let's begin this journey together, into the heart of my grandmother's story, a story of love, loss, and the secrets that bind us all. As I read these letters aloud, I invite you to walk with me through the moments that shaped her life, and in doing so, perhaps, find a piece of yourself within its pages. In the late 1930s, nestled in the heart of rural America, lay the small town of Willow Creek, a place where time seemed to stand still. The air was alive with the sweet scent of blooming wildflowers and the earthy smell of freshly tilled soil. It was a community where everyone knew each other's names, and life unfolded with the predictability of the seasons. The town's main street was a simple stretch of dirt road lined with a handful of stores, a post office, and a diner that served as the local gathering spot. On the outskirts, farmhouses dotted the landscape, each surrounded by fields of golden wheat and green pastures where cattle grazed. The sound of children's laughter carried on the breeze, mingling with the clucking of chickens and the distant hum of tractors. It was here, in this idyllic setting, that Aurora grew up. Her family lived on a modest farm, where hard work and love were the currencies of the day. Her parents, George and Margaret, were the epitome of hard-working folk, their hands worn from years of tilling the land and nurturing their crops. They were people of few words but boundless love, their affection for their children evident in every glance, every gentle touch. Aurora, with her vivid imagination and a heart full of dreams, was the middle child, sandwiched between her older brother, Thomas, and younger sister, Lily. Thomas, with his aviator's helmet perched atop his messy brown hair, spent hours poring over airplane magazines, dreaming of the skies. Lily, a tiny poet with a mop of curly hair, saw the world through a lens of wonder, her short poems capturing the essence of life in Willow Creek. Aurora's days were filled with the rhythms of farm life. Mornings began before dawn, with the family heading out to tend to the fields. The air was crisp, the stars still twinkling in the sky as they worked side by side, the only sounds being the rustling of leaves and the early birds greeting the sun. School was a short walk away, a one-room building where children of all ages learned together, their laughter and disputes a familiar soundtrack to the afternoons. But it was in the evenings, under the star-studded sky, that Aurora felt most alive. She'd sit on the porch steps, a book clutched in her hands, losing herself in worlds beyond Willow Creek. Her love for reading was her escape, a way to traverse distances and times, to experience lives beyond the familiar fields and faces. Despite the simplicity and peace of her life, a subtle restlessness stirred within Aurora. It was a quiet yearning for something more, a sense that there were chapters of her life yet to be written. This feeling, she couldn't quite articulate, left her with a sense of discontent, a feeling that there was a world out there waiting for her, whispering her name on the wind. The evenings, with their long, contemplative silences, were when Aurora's thoughts wandered furthest. She'd glance up at the stars, her mind tracing the constellations, imagining paths not yet taken. It was as if the universe, in all its vastness, was calling to her, whispering secrets she couldn't quite hear. In these moments of introspection, Aurora felt the weight of her dreams, the pull of a future that seemed to beckon her toward the unknown. And though Willow Creek was her home, a place of love and comfort, she couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to her story, more to her life, than the familiar rhythms of the town. As the seasons passed, this quiet introspection grew into a persistent undercurrent, a sense of longing that would one day propel her into a journey of self-discovery and love, changing the course of her life and, generations later, the way her granddaughter would see the world. The peace of Willow Creek, with its rolling hills and star-filled nights, was about to be gently stirred by the winds of change, carrying with them the whispers of a love that would remain hidden for decades, yet echo through time, touching hearts in ways unimaginable. In this serene and picturesque world, where love was a constant and dreams were within reach, Aurora stood at the threshold of her own story, a tale of love, loss, and the enduring power of the human spirit. Little did she know, the pages of her life were about to turn, revealing chapters that would redefine her, and in time, the lives of those who came after her. The summer air was alive with the sweet scent of blooming wildflowers and the distant hum of cicadas, a soothing serenade that had lulled Willow Creek into a false sense of security. But as the days shortened and the nights grew cooler, the tranquility of our little town began to fray at the edges. News of the war in Europe seeped into our lives like a chill on an autumn morning. At first, it seemed a distant rumble, a murmur of troubles that couldn't possibly touch us. My grandfather, George, would listen to the radio with a mix of skepticism and concern, his brow furrowed as if trying to ward off the impending storm. My grandmother, Margaret, would knit with anxious fingers, her eyes darting between the needles and the faces of her children, as if searching for reassurance. Thomas, my uncle, would excitedly share tales of adventure and heroism from far-off lands, his imagination fueled by the romanticized stories of soldiers. But I, Aurora, felt a growing sense of unease. I would often find myself lost in thought, pondering the fragility of peace and the brutal reality of war. The world I had known, with its simple joys and predictable rhythms, seemed to be unraveling. I began to question the justice of a world where such horrors could unfold. My dreams of a future, once bright and limitless, now seemed tainted by uncertainty. It was on one of those crisp autumn evenings, as I walked home from the library, lost in thought, that I noticed a stranger in town. He was standing by the old oak tree, his back against the trunk as if he owned the place. He wore a military uniform, but there was something about him that didn't quite fit. Perhaps it was the way he carried himself with an air of quiet confidence, or the intensity of his gaze as he watched me approach. Our eyes met, and for a moment, time seemed to stand still. I felt a spark of curiosity, a flicker of connection that I couldn't quite explain. He smiled, and I noticed the way his eyes crinkled at the corners, the way his hair curled slightly at the nape of his neck. "Hi," he said, pushing off from the tree, his voice low and smooth. "I'm Elias. I've been transferred to a nearby base." I couldn't help but notice this is a beautiful town. I found myself smiling back, feeling a sense of ease I hadn't experienced before. "Welcome to Willow Creek," I replied, my voice barely above a whisper. "We're glad to have you here." As we talked, I sensed there was more to Elias than met the eye. There was a depth to him, a sense of secrets kept and stories untold. But it was his eyes, warm and kind, that drew me in, making me feel seen and understood. Little did I know, Elias's arrival marked the beginning of a journey that would change the course of my life forever. The war, with all its dangers and uncertainties, was coming for us, and Elias's presence would weave itself into the fabric of our lives in ways I could hardly imagine. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the town, I felt an inexplicable sense of foreboding. It was as if the very fabric of our peaceful existence was about to be torn apart, revealing a world of complexities and emotions that would challenge everything I thought I knew about love, loss, and sacrifice. The air seemed to vibrate with an unspoken tension, a sense that our lives were on the cusp of a dramatic shift. And I, Aurora, with my romantic dreams and burgeoning awareness, was about to find myself at the center of a maelstrom, where the lines between love and danger, loyalty and betrayal, would become increasingly blurred. As I looked into Elias's eyes, I felt the ground beneath me begin to shift, like the first tremors of an earthquake. I had no idea that the choices I would make, the words I would say or leave unsaid, would echo through the years, touching hearts and changing lives in ways I could hardly imagine. The darkness gathered around us, a living, breathing entity that seemed to pulse with its own rhythm. And in that moment, I knew that nothing would ever be the same again. The world was changing, and I was changing with it, pulled into a tide of events that would test the very limits of my heart and soul. In the silence that followed, I sensed that Elias and I had stumbled into something much larger than ourselves, a story that would unfold against the backdrop of war, a tale of love, loss, and the enduring power of the human spirit. And as the stars began to twinkle in the night sky, I felt an inexplicable sense of connection to this mysterious stranger, a sense that our lives were now inextricably linked, bound by threads of fate that only time would reveal. As I sit here, surrounded by the fading light of day, I'm transported back to a time when the world seemed to be holding its breath. The year was 1939, and the war's shadow loomed large over our small town of Willow Creek. But amidst the uncertainty, two young souls found solace in each other's company. My grandmother, Aurora, and Elias, the mysterious stranger who had wandered into our lives. Their secret meetings became a beacon of hope in those trying times. They'd steal away to the old barn on the outskirts of town, its rustic charm and creaky doors providing a secluded haven. The sun's warm rays filtering through the barn's wooden slats cast a golden glow on their entwined hands, as they'd sit together, lost in conversation. The scent of fresh hay and the soft rustling of the wind through the cornfields created a sense of intimacy, a world of their own. Aurora's heart fluttered with every glance, every whispered promise. Elias, with his piercing eyes and gentle smile, had awakened a deep longing within her. As they strolled through the sunflower field, the tall stalks swaying in the breeze, their footsteps synchronized, their laughter intertwined. The sky above, a brilliant blue, seemed to stretch out before them like an endless canvas, waiting to be filled with the vibrant colors of their love. But Elias harbored secrets, and the weight of his mission bore down upon him. One evening, as they sat together on the barn's weathered porch, he revealed the truth. His voice low, laced with a hint of desperation, he told Aurora of his true identity, a German scientist, a deserter. The artifact he'd been searching for, a powerful encryption device, was hidden somewhere in Willow Creek. His mentor, a brilliant clockmaker, had concealed it in a labyrinth beneath the old church, a secret only a select few knew. Aurora's eyes widened as the pieces fell into place. The strange symbols etched into the church's stone walls, the whispers of an ancient passageway. Elias's presence, once a mystery, now made sense. He was on a perilous quest, and she had become his unlikely ally. As they pored over dusty maps and cryptic clues, their fingers intertwined, Aurora felt a sense of purpose she never knew she possessed. The diary, once a confidant, now became a repository for her deepest fears and desires. She recorded every secret meeting, every furtive glance, and every whispered promise. The words flowed onto the pages, a cathartic release of emotions she dare not speak aloud. But danger lurked in the shadows, its presence felt in the subtle glances of strangers, the hushed tones of conversations in the town square. Nazi agents, disguised as civilians, began to appear in Willow Creek, their eyes scanning the crowds, searching for Elias and the artifact. The air grew thick with tension, and Aurora's heart pounded in her chest as she navigated the treacherous landscape. One fateful evening, as they explored the labyrinth beneath the church, the lantern casting eerie shadows on the walls, Elias's hand brushed against hers. The touch sent shivers down her spine, a reminder of the love they shared, and the risks they'd taken. The ancient passageway, with its cobweb-shrouded stones and musty scent, seemed to whisper secrets in her ear, urging her forward. Aurora's transformation was underway. From a passive observer, she'd become an active participant in Elias's quest. Her courage, once hesitant, now grew with each passing day. She balanced her love for Elias with the safety of her family, the internal conflict etched on her face, in her diary entries. As they neared the heart of the labyrinth, the sound of dripping water and creaking stone echoed through the passageway. The air vibrated with anticipation, and Aurora knew she stood at the threshold of a choice: to stand by Elias, to protect their love, and to safeguard the artifact, or to retreat, and risk losing everything. The diary, now a testament to her journey, seemed to whisper a single phrase, a refrain that echoed through the silence: sometimes, the words we never say echo louder than the ones we do. As I sit here, surrounded by the silence of my room, the words of my grandmother echo in my mind: sometimes, the words we never say echo louder than the ones we do. It's a phrase that has haunted me since I stumbled upon her hidden diary, a treasure trove of secrets, love, and sacrifice. The story of her life, of her love for Elias, a mysterious stranger who arrived in Willow Creek in 1939, has left me breathless. The air was thick with anticipation as Aurora and Elias navigated the narrow passages of the underground labyrinth. Their hearts pounded in unison, each step echoing through the darkness. The smell of damp earth and mold filled their nostrils, and the flickering light of their lantern cast eerie shadows on the walls. They had been searching for what felt like an eternity, following every lead, every hint, every rumor that might bring them closer to the artifact. Finally, after countless twists and turns, they stumbled upon a hidden chamber deep within the labyrinth. The room was small, with stone walls that seemed to close in around them. In the center of the room, on a pedestal of black stone, lay the artifact, a small, intricately carved box made of a material that seemed almost otherworldly. The box emitted a soft hum, a vibration that resonated through Aurora's entire being. But their moment of triumph was short-lived. As they reached for the box, the sound of footsteps echoed through the passages outside their chamber. The Nazis had found them. Elias's eyes locked onto Aurora's, a flash of fear and determination burning within them. "We have to get out of here, now," he whispered, his voice low and urgent. The chamber was suddenly filled with the sound of gunfire and shouting. Aurora's heart racing, she watched as Elias took down the first wave of agents, his movements swift and deadly. But there were too many of them, and soon Elias found himself cornered, a gun pressed to his temple. Aurora knew she had to act fast. Using her knowledge of the labyrinth, she launched herself at the agents, taking down as many as she could. The chaos was intense, the air thick with the smell of gunpowder and sweat. Aurora's ears rang from the gunfire, and her heart ached with every step, every punch she threw. She was vaguely aware of Elias's cries, urging her to escape, to leave him behind. But she couldn't. She couldn't bear the thought of losing him. In a moment of desperation, Elias grabbed Aurora's arm, his eyes burning with a fierce love. "Take the box," he whispered, his voice barely audible over the din of battle. "You have to get out of here. I'll hold them off." Aurora hesitated, torn between her love for Elias and her duty to protect the artifact. With a final glance, Elias pushed Aurora toward the exit. She didn't need to be told twice. She sprinted through the labyrinth, the box clutched tightly in her hand. The sound of gunfire grew fainter, replaced by the sound of her own ragged breathing and the pounding of her heart. As she emerged into the cool night air, Aurora felt a sense of relief wash over her. She had escaped, but at what cost? The weight of the artifact, now a tangible connection to Elias, felt crushing. She stumbled forward, her eyes blinded by tears. The darkness seemed to swallow her whole, and for a moment, she was lost, alone with her grief. But as she looked down at the box, now safely in her possession, she felt a surge of determination. Elias's sacrifice would not be in vain. She would carry on his legacy, using the artifact to change the course of history. The diary, once a secret refuge for her emotions, now became a testament to their love and Elias's ultimate sacrifice. As she walked away from the labyrinth, the silence was broken only by her own whispered promise: "I will make sure your sacrifice was not in vain, Elias. I will make sure the world knows the truth." The words hung in the air, a vow to the man she loved, to the artifact, and to herself. The journey ahead would be long and fraught with danger, but Aurora was ready. For the first time in her life, she felt a sense of purpose, a sense of direction. She would carry Elias's legacy forward, no matter the cost. In the days and weeks that followed, Aurora's determination only grew. She knew that she had to get the artifact to a safe place, to people who could help her unlock its secrets. She traveled from town to town, always looking over her shoulder, always wondering when the Nazis would find her. But she didn't let fear consume her. Instead, she focused on the artifact, on the stories it held, and on the love that had driven Elias to risk everything. The diary became her constant companion, a reminder of the love they shared, and the sacrifice he made for her. As she walked, the world around her began to change. The darkness of the labyrinth gave way to the brightness of a new dawn. The silence was broken by the sound of birds singing, and the weight of the artifact began to feel like a badge of honor. Aurora's story is one of love, sacrifice, and courage. It's a story that has been hidden for decades, but one that needs to be told. As I sit here, reading my grandmother's words, I feel a sense of pride and awe. Her story is a testament to the power of love, a reminder that even in the darkest of times, there is always hope. The words of my grandmother echo in my mind once more. Sometimes, the words we never say echo louder than the ones we do. It's a phrase that has become a mantra for me, a reminder of the power of love and sacrifice. As I look back on her story, I realize that it's a story that needs to be shared, a story that can inspire and touch hearts. And so, I'll continue to share her story, to keep her memory alive, and to honor the love that she and Elias shared. It's a story that will live on, a testament to the enduring power of love, and a reminder that even in the silence, there is always a voice that echoes through time, touching hearts and changing lives in ways we can't imagine. As I emerged from the labyrinth, the stormy night swallowed me whole. Rain lashed at my skin, stinging my face, yet I barely noticed. My world had shrunk to the size of the artifact clutched in my trembling hands. Elias's sacrifice still echoed in my mind, a hollow ache that threatened to consume me. I stumbled through the darkness, the only sound being the patter of raindrops on the pavement and my own ragged breathing. The walk home was a blur. I remember the porch creaking beneath my feet, the door swinging open to reveal my parents' concerned faces. They'd been searching for me everywhere, but I couldn't muster the strength to explain. I just shook my head, and they, thinking I was cold and shaken, wrapped me in a warm blanket. I let them, but my heart wasn't in it. It was still with Elias, in the labyrinth, where he'd given his life for me. The days that followed were a haze of grief and pretending. To my family, Elias was just a stranger I'd met, a brief acquaintance whose death was an accident. They offered condolences, but they didn't understand. No one did. I became adept at wearing a mask, hiding the truth behind a facade of normalcy. It was exhausting, but necessary. I couldn't risk anyone discovering the secret I now carried. My diary became my only solace, the one place where I could be honest about my pain. I wrote of Elias, of our moments together, of his sacrifice. I poured out my heart, letting the words flow like tears. The entries were raw, unfiltered, and achingly honest. I wrote of the weight of the artifact, of the responsibility Elias had placed on me. It was a burden I was determined to carry, but it was crushing me. As I navigated the days, the isolation grew. My family noticed the change in me, the distant look in my eyes, but they couldn't fathom what I'd been through. They tried to reach out, to bring me back into the fold, but I was too far gone. I felt like I was walking through a fog, unable to connect with anything or anyone. The artifact, now a tangible link to Elias, became my focus. I spent hours studying it, poring over Elias's notes, trying to understand its purpose. The local library became my refuge. I spent hours among the shelves, searching for any mention of the artifact or anything that might help me decipher its secrets. The librarian, an old woman with kind eyes, noticed my frequent visits. She'd often bring me books, asking if I was okay, if I needed anything. I appreciated her concern, but I couldn't share my story. Not yet. One evening, as I sat at a wooden table, surrounded by stacks of books, I felt Elias's presence. It was as if he'd walked into the room, his eyes locking onto mine. I closed my eyes, letting the memories wash over me. I remembered the way he'd smiled, the way his eyes crinkled at the corners. I remembered his touch, his voice. The ache in my chest grew, but this time, it was accompanied by a spark of determination. I would do this. I would uncover the secrets of the artifact, honor Elias's memory, and fulfill his mission. The storm outside had passed, but inside me, it still raged. Yet, amidst the turmoil, I found a sense of purpose. I began to see a way forward, a path that wound through the darkness but led to a place of understanding and perhaps, redemption. I took a deep breath, letting the words of my diary entries echo in my mind. Sometimes, the words we never say echo louder than the ones we do. I knew that I had a long journey ahead, but I was ready to take the first step, to follow the path that Elias had laid out for me. In those moments, surrounded by dusty tomes and flickering fluorescent lights, I made a silent vow to Elias, I would see this through, no matter where it led. The artifact, now a symbol of our love and his sacrifice, seemed to weigh less, as if the burden had been shared, just for a moment. I opened my eyes, and with a newfound resolve, I began to read, to research, and to plan. The journey ahead would be long and fraught with peril, but I was no longer alone. I had Elias's legacy, and my own determination, to guide me through. As I sit here, surrounded by the quiet of my modest apartment, I am transported back to the days when the world outside seemed to be falling apart. The memories of Elias, of our time together in Willow Creek, still lingered, a bittersweet reminder of what we had and what could have been. But I had no time for nostalgia. The artifact, that mysterious device Elias had entrusted to me, weighed heavily on my mind. I had to understand its purpose, its power. I had left Willow Creek, seeking anonymity in a larger city. The bustling streets, the cacophony of sounds, the smell of freshly baked bread wafting from the nearby bakery, it was a sensory overload, but one that I found solace in. I took up a modest job at a local cafe, working as a waitress to make ends meet. It was a far cry from the life I had envisioned, but it allowed me to keep a low profile, to blend into the background. My days, however, were filled with a new purpose. I spent hours poring over Elias's diary, studying every word, every hint. The artifact, it seemed, was more than just a device, it was a key to unlocking secrets, to changing the course of the war. I devoured books on cryptography, studied maps, and scoured archives, searching for any mention of the device. The library became my sanctuary, a place where I could lose myself in the musty smell of old books and the whispered conversations of patrons. As I researched, I began to notice things, the way people moved, the way they interacted. I learned to observe, to listen, and to deduce. Elias's diary had been my guide, but I was quickly becoming my own teacher, my own mentor. I practiced assembling and disassembling parts of the artifact, learning its intricacies, its rhythms. My hands moved with a newfound confidence, my mind racing with possibilities. But with each step forward, the danger drew closer. I sensed it, a constant hum in the background, a reminder that I was not alone. Nazi agents still sought the artifact, and I had become their target. I recall one particular day, I was sitting in a crowded train station, watching people rush to and fro. A man caught my eye, his gaze lingered a fraction of a second too long. I felt a shiver run down my spine. I quickly gathered my belongings and moved, melting into the crowd. It was a close call, but I had been prepared. The solitude was a heavy burden, one I carried with each step. There were times when the loneliness felt overwhelming, when the weight of my mission seemed crushing. But I thought of Elias, of his sacrifice, and my determination hardened. I was doing this for him, for us, for the future. The artifact was my focus, my driving force. As the days turned into weeks, and the weeks into months, I began to notice a change within myself. I was no longer the grieving young woman I had once been. I was resourceful, capable, and driven. I had become a self-taught spy, using my skills to evade detection, to gather information, and to stay one step ahead of my pursuers. One evening, as I sat in my apartment, surrounded by papers, books, and the soft glow of a single lamp, I felt a sense of pride. I had come so far, and yet, I knew I had only just begun. The journey ahead would be fraught with danger, but I was ready. I was no longer just a young woman in love, I was a guardian of secrets, a keeper of the past, and a shaper of the future. The words Elias had once spoken echoed in my mind. Sometimes, the words we never say echo louder than the ones we do. I had made a promise to him, to myself, and to our future. I would see this through, no matter the cost. The artifact, with its secrets and its power, would be my legacy, my way of honoring Elias's sacrifice. In the silence of the night, I opened Elias's diary, reading the words he had written, the words he had left for me. Tears pricked at the corners of my eyes, but I smiled, a sense of resolve washing over me. I would do this. I would uncover the secrets of the artifact, and I would make sure that Elias's sacrifice was not in vain. The journey ahead would be long, difficult, and fraught with peril, but I was ready. I was Aurora, the secret keeper, and I would see this through to the end. As the war raged on, Aurora's determination only grew stronger. With the artifact in hand, she joined a secret team of codebreakers and intelligence operatives, working tirelessly to transmit crucial information to the Allied forces. The dimly lit room, filled with the hum of machinery and the soft clickety-clack of typewriters, became her sanctuary. She poured all her energy into deciphering the codes, her mind racing with the possibilities. The days blurred together in a haze of concentration, but Aurora's efforts began to bear fruit. The Allies started to gain ground, and the enemy's plans were consistently foiled. She remembered the countless nights spent hunched over the artifact, her fingers aching as she transcribed the coded messages. The sound of the radio crackling to life, the voice on the other end speaking in hushed tones, was music to her ears. As the war finally drew to a close, Aurora felt a sense of quiet satisfaction wash over her. The weight of her mission had been lifted, and she knew that her contribution had made a difference. The news of the Allied victory spread like wildfire, and people emerged from their homes, blinking in the bright sunlight, smiling and crying tears of joy. Aurora walked among them, her heart full, her spirit at peace. But as the world around her began to heal, Aurora knew she had to find a new purpose. She couldn't shake the memories of Elias, of the sacrifices they'd made, and the love they'd shared. The artifact, once a burden, had become a cherished symbol of their past. She carefully placed it in a beautiful music box, adorned with intricate patterns and a soft, golden glow. The music box became a tangible connection to her memories, a reminder of the love and loss that had shaped her. Aurora returned to Willow Creek, the small town where her journey with Elias had begun. She settled into a cozy little cottage on the outskirts of town, surrounded by rolling hills and green pastures. The air was crisp and clean, filled with the sweet scent of blooming wildflowers. She spent her days tending to a community garden, helping war-affected families, and sharing her skills with the young women in town. As she worked, Aurora's past began to integrate seamlessly into her present. The memories of Elias, though still bittersweet, no longer defined her struggles. She had grown into a wise, loving, and compassionate woman, with a depth of character that inspired those around her. Her granddaughter, the narrator, would often sit at her feet, listening with wide eyes as Aurora shared stories of her adventures. The narrator began to understand that the seemingly simple life of her grandmother was built upon extraordinary experiences and profound sacrifices. The diary, once a secret keeper, had become a bridge between past and present, revealing the depth of Aurora's character. As the narrator looked back, she realized that her grandmother's life had been a testament to the enduring power of love, a reminder that even in silence, there are words that echo through time, touching hearts and changing lives. Years passed, and Aurora's reputation as a wise and kind soul spread throughout the town. People would seek her counsel, and she would listen with empathy, offering guidance and support. Her home became a sanctuary for those seeking refuge, a place where laughter and tears were shared, and stories were woven into the fabric of family history. One afternoon, as the sun cast a warm glow over the garden, Aurora sat with her granddaughter, surrounded by the beauty of nature. She opened the music box, and the soft melody filled the air. The narrator watched as her grandmother's eyes misted, and a gentle smile spread across her face. "Sometimes, the words we never say echo louder than the ones we do," Aurora said, her voice barely above a whisper. The narrator leaned in, her heart full of love and admiration for the woman who had become her guiding light. In that moment, she knew that she would carry her grandmother's legacy forward, sharing the stories, the wisdom, and the love that had been passed down through the generations. As the music box closed, Aurora's eyes met her granddaughter's, and she knew that her journey had come full circle. The sacrifices, the love, and the secrets had all been worth it, for they had led her to this moment, surrounded by the people and the life she loved. The war was over, and a new beginning had dawned, one that was filled with hope, peace, and the knowledge that even the unspoken words could change the course of a lifetime. As I sit here, surrounded by the familiar comforts of my grandmother's house, I find myself lost in the pages of her diary. The worn leather binding, the yellowed paper, and the faint scent of aged perfume all serve as a tangible connection to the woman who raised me. The words "sometimes, the words we never say echo louder than the ones we do" echo in my mind, a mantra that guided Aurora's life and now resonates deeply within me. I recall the countless afternoons spent listening to Grandma Aurora's tales of fairies and heroes, of magical realms and daring quests. At the time, I thought they were just stories, meant to entertain and educate. But now, as I read through her diary, I realized those fantastical tales were metaphors for her own extraordinary life. The brave heroes and cunning heroines were reflections of her own struggles and triumphs. The fairies, with their whispers of wisdom and guidance, represented the quiet strength that defined her. As I reflect on Aurora's story, I'm struck by the complexity and beauty of life's tapestry. Her legacy isn't just the artifact or the secrets she kept, it's the silent strength she embodied, the wisdom she shared through her stories, and the unconditional love she offered to those around her. It's the way she lived her life, with courage and conviction, even in the face of uncertainty and danger. I see now that Aurora's experiences were not just historical footnotes, but a map to her soul. Her diary, once a secret keeper, has become a guide for me, a reminder that our lives are woven together by threads of love, sacrifice, and resilience. As I read her words, I feel the weight of her emotions, the depth of her longing, and the breadth of her love. The more I learn about Aurora's past, the more I see parallels between her struggles and my own. Her story has become a mirror, reflecting my own fears, hopes, and dreams. I realize that I've been living in the shadow of her legacy, and that her courage and determination have inspired me to face my own challenges. As I close the diary, I feel a sense of peace settle over me. The words on the page have become a part of me, a reminder that our stories, though unique, are interconnected. I understand now that the true power of Aurora's legacy lies not in the artifact or the secrets she kept, but in the way she lived her life, with intention, compassion, and love. In the silence, I hear the whispers of the past, echoing through the present. I feel the presence of Aurora, guiding me, urging me to share my own stories, to pass on the wisdom and love that has been entrusted to me. The diary, once a hidden treasure, has become a catalyst for my own journey of self-discovery. As I look around the room, I see the familiar objects, now imbued with new meaning. The chair where Aurora sat, writing in her diary, now holds my own stories, waiting to be told. The garden, where she tended to her flowers, now blooms with the memories of our shared moments. Every object, every memory, every word in the diary has become a part of me. In this moment, I understand that our stories are not just relics of the past, but bridges to the future. They remind us that we are not alone, that our experiences, though unique, are interconnected. Aurora's story has shown me that even in the silence, there is a voice that echoes through time, touching hearts and changing lives in ways we cannot imagine. As I speak these words, I feel a sense of catharsis, a release of emotions that have been building for years. The diary, once a secret keeper, has become a testament to the enduring power of love and sacrifice. I realize that I am not just a narrator, but a participant in the story of my family's history. The music of the device, now a distant memory, still echoes in my heart, reminding me of the love and sacrifice that defined Aurora's life. I know that I will carry her legacy forward, sharing her story, and my own, with those who come after me. In doing so, I hope to inspire others to discover their own hidden stories, to share them, and to pass on the wisdom and love that has been entrusted to them. In the end, it's not the words we say that define us, but the ones we don't. The silence, the whispers, the echoes, they all conspire to remind us that our stories, though unique, are interconnected, and that love, in all its forms, is the thread that weaves them together. As I look to the future, I know that I will carry Aurora's legacy with me, and that her story will continue to inspire me to live a life of intention, compassion, and love. As I sit here, surrounded by the memories of a lifetime, I am reminded of the power of love and sacrifice. Grandma Aurora's story, the one I've shared with you, is a testament to the human spirit's capacity for courage, resilience, and devotion. It's a tale of a life lived amidst turmoil, of choices made in the face of uncertainty, and of the enduring legacy that love leaves behind. In the quiet moments, when the world outside recedes and all that's left is the whisper of our own heartbeat, we're forced to confront the what-ifs and the maybes of our own lives. Grandma Aurora's journey, as revealed through her hidden diary, shows us that even in the darkest of times, there's always a way forward, always a choice to be made. The unsent letters, hidden for decades, spoke volumes about the love and longing that defined her life. They reminded us that sometimes, the words we never say echo louder than the ones we do. And it's in those silences, those moments of unspoken emotion, that we find the true depth of our own humanity. As I look back on Aurora's story, I'm struck by the realization that our lives are woven from the same thread, a thread of love, of loss, of laughter, and of tears. It's a thread that's been passed down through generations, reminding us that we're not alone in our struggles or our triumphs. If Aurora's story has resonated with you, if it's touched your heart or made you reflect on your own life, then I know that I've fulfilled my purpose. This story isn't just about a woman who lived through extraordinary times, it's about the universal language of love and sacrifice that transcends eras and circumstances. As you continue on your own journey, I encourage you to hold on to the lessons of Grandma Aurora's life. Let her courage inspire you to face your own challenges with determination and heart. Let her love remind you of the power of human connection in the face of adversity. Now, I'd like to ask you to take a moment to reflect on the story. What do you think was the most pivotal moment in Grandma Aurora's life? Was it the moment she met Elias, the moment she discovered the device, or perhaps the moment she chose to let go? Please, take a moment to think about it, and then share your thoughts with us in the comments below. Your insights and reflections are invaluable to us, and we're grateful for the opportunity to share this journey with you. As we close this chapter on Grandma Aurora's story, I invite you to engage with our community. If you've been inspired by this tale, please leave a like on this video, subscribe to our channel for more stories that touch the heart, and share this video with someone who might find solace or inspiration in it. The music you hear playing softly in the background is a melody that Grandma Aurora would have loved. It's a reminder that even as we say goodbye to one chapter, we embark on another, carrying with us the lessons, the love, and the memories of those who've come before us. In the silence, I hear the whispers of the past, urging us to be brave, to love without bounds, and to cherish every moment. As the music swells, I want you to remember that your story, too, is a testament to the power of love and resilience. Share it, cherish it, and let it be a beacon of hope in the times when you need it most. And so, as we conclude this journey with Grandma Aurora, I leave you with a final thought. What secret do you think Grandma Aurora held dearest to her heart? Was it the love she shared with Elias, the device that changed her life, or something more profound? Please, share your thoughts, and let's continue the conversation. The story may be ending, but the dialogue has just begun. In the end, it's not the years we live, but the life we pour into those years, that truly matters. Grandma Aurora's legacy reminds us that every moment, every choice, and every love letter, sent or unsent, contributes to the tapestry of our existence. As the final notes of the music fade away, I want you to hold on to the essence of Grandma Aurora's story, to carry it with you, and to let it guide you through life's triumphs and tribulations. And when you're ready, share your own story, that it might inspire others to cherish their own journey, just as Aurora's has inspired us. The love we share, the stories we tell, and the memories we create, these are the legacies that truly endure. Thank you for joining me on this journey, and I look forward to hearing the echoes of your own story.